Amazing. Now, Taylor Dayne, you are, you might not know this about Taylor Dayne. She's sold 75 million singles, albums, all that together. That is incredible. Welcome to the VT Studios. We're so happy to have you here.
Hi, everybody.
Now, you're obviously a part of Dee Snider's rock and roll Christmas show, and let's, before we talk about that a little bit, last night you went to the hockey game.
I sure did.
And
when in Rome, absolutely.
How would you think?
I can't believe it. First of all, it turned out to be a very exciting game. It was the Bruins against, obviously, the Leafs. And I have to say, it was 2-0, you know, the score was getting kind of tricky in the second period, but it, you know, it was a long way away from third period. And then all of a sudden, Toronto came in, boom. Then they tied the score, and then Boston came back. So it started getting, and then every time somebody scored for Toronto, the place went like insane. It was very exciting because, I mean, this is like the epicenter of you know, hockey. And I have to just say, I'm like, is this the playoffs or is the Stanley Cup going on? Because it was like insane. And then, of course, it became a very exciting game. So it was fun.
Losing, but they are now 1 point above last place, which is great. So round of applause. All right, come on. Right? Right?
Okay, well, you guys, you can slam anything you want. I'm just going to stay here and be in my little outfit and say rock and roll.
So
it was perfect.
Let's talk about this show with Dee Snider. I mean, you guys went to the same high school, though he's older.
Yes.
And you know, is he kind of a mentor for you?
You know, in some way, he really, I wouldn't say a mentor, but what he was he really was that one star, if you will. Yes, he did graduate from my high school, I think like 10 years before me. Okay. So he already was so established and had broken, and they were stars, obviously, superstars by then. So when my producing partner, like he was 19, I was 20, was like, I met Dee Snider, and I'm like, what? So I was like, how is that so random? And I go, you met him? And he goes, yes. And he's like, kind of, he was more mentoring my production partner, was this British kid. And I go, really? And he goes, yeah, he's allowing us, he's kind of setting up us in the studio up in the North Shore. And I go, really? I go, well, I'd love to meet him. I go, you know, he's like an icon in my school kind of thing, you know. And he goes, well, we will. And Dee just really was just very giving. And he just said, you know, Taylor, you're so cool. Why don't you sing backgrounds on an album that I'm producing? Now, he was already producing other artists, and he goes, you need a guy's name like Tommy, Joey, and the guy in the studio goes, I have a girlfriend named Tommy, but really I have a girlfriend named Taylor. And we all were like, and that's how we got Taylor Dayne, basically, and Dayne from A Baby Book That Night. So there's a lot of little things Dee had. So I'm here because I'm a fan of Dee Snider, and as well as I feel like I feel like I really owe him some major gratitude.
Well, and let's talk about this show. So what's your character on the show when we go to see it?
I basically pray, like, probably, I'm sure he wrote this part about his wife.
Okay.
Suzette and I are Long Island girls. I'm a Jew. She's Italian. It's pretty much the same thing. And we're ballsy in some way. We get right to the point. We're what we consider real. And she's the club owner. Her name is Roxanne, and she's the club owner. And it's kind of the spot, the central spot of where all the mayhem goes on between the band. This is an aging, you know, rock band that really couldn't find their way for 20 years. And she's kind of like, get your shit together and let's get it going, you know, and really forces them and really is like, look at yourselves in the mirror and let's get to the point.
And you know, a lot of people don't know this about you or don't maybe remember this, but you opened for Michael Jackson on the Bad Tour.
Well, that was the beginning for me, too. So when they said, you're going to open for Michael, I had just broke with Tell It to My Heart. But a lot of people don't know is Tell It to My Heart was released in Europe first. Right. So it was a single. As you were asking me, what's the difference between this, you know, music now and then as far as, and I always say cell phones and internet. And how about that you can hop, you know, zit medicine on television and be cool now, you know? It just wasn't part of the landscape then. We weren't brand icons then, really.
And you know, you were away from home for 15 months. How was that?
Well,
what was
again,
it like, you know,
had
Michael
to show
Jackson's
up
tour?
physically. You had to be every country. There weren't cell phones. There wasn't like, you know, you could call into radio stations, but I was literally in a country, sometimes 2 countries a day.
Wow.
But Michael Jackson was, like, imagine the Bad Tour. It's the pinnacle of where all the tours ended up going. And I mean, very, very, it was frightening.
Oh.
It was really frightening.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was frightening, but it was pretty amazing.
Now, we got to go talk to Jen here, but Dee Snider's Rock and Roll Christmas Tale is playing at the Winter Garden Theater, runs through January 3rd. Just
January 3rd, so please come get your tickets. It's a real great family show. It's a lot of fun. Bring the kids. It's really fun.
Awesome.
It's great.
And Jen is at the Randolph Academy for Performing Arts.